It's day 2 of budget discussions in downtown Madison. What's on the table tonight? Right now at 10.
And we'll meet a local artist who is dismantling a 150-year-old piece of Madison history in order to save it.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Well, here's a sign of just how cold it has been outside. They spent time today making snow at Ulbrich Park, getting that sledding hill ready for folks. Temperatures still unusually cold for this time of the year. Thanks for joining us tonight. Good news is the weather will be warming up as we head into the second half of the work week and the weekend, but it'll be at a rather gradual pace.
We are expecting to get back to seasonal temperatures by early next week. Let's head over to Chief Meteorologist Gary Canolti now with our first alert forecast.
And Charlotte, let's put that in perspective. If we get to normal temperatures early next week, it'll be the first time in 3 weeks our temperatures have been back to normal. Tonight, we're dealing with a little bit of light snow over southeastern Wisconsin. A few flurries extend back into the Madison area, but those are winding down pretty quickly. Visibilities are improving north and west of Madison for the most part. So at this point, we're just down to mainly flurries. There are some slick spots on the roads, though, especially secondary roads, side streets, where there was a little bit of light accumulation. Those roads are still pretty slick, and in fact, temperatures right now are in the lower to middle 20s. They'll only fall off a few degrees tonight. By tomorrow morning, they should be in the upper teens. Tomorrow, we'll look for partly sunny skies, and that'll bring temperatures up close to freezing at 31, and we should still be in the middle 40s. But the good news is, like you say, we should see a moderation in temperatures as we head toward next week. Of the full details and weather in a few minutes.
City Council has settled on its budget for next year, passing both a $340 million operating budget and $174 million capital budget.
Now, it includes a property tax increase of 3.6%. That's about $94 on the average home. Also included the final hurdle for funding an independent police monitor. Amy Reed joins us now to explain how it'll all move forward. Amy?
At the beginning of the night, funding for this position was in question. An amendment in the budget would have stripped the money, but council voted decisively tonight that this is something they want.
The clerk will call the roll.
17 alders sounded off tonight, showing their support for funding an independent police monitor.
Skidmore?
Paul Skidmore was not one of them. He sponsored an amendment that would have done the opposite.
This could be used as a means to micromanage and potentially harass officers.
The police auditor was the main recommendation of the Police Policy and Review Ad Hoc Committee, created after Tony Robinson was shot and killed by a Madison officer.
Good to have an outside entity that's constantly evaluating. It's not about being a critic, it's about being better.
Matthew Brongen was part of that committee. While alders tried to decide if the $200,000 is worth it, he encouraged them to consider where they save.
It kind of looks like it puts in tight, but if you want to talk about saving money, we're talking about saving money through civil lawsuits, through better operations of our police department.
People who have lost friends and family to officer-involved shootings came to council last night to share their voices too. Some saying what's in place now doesn't work.
It has never found an officer in the wrong for taking a life since its inception. That's 130 years.
Skidmore said he's not against the position, but he wanted more worked out before they set aside funds.
The devil's in the details. That's why we want to do this now rather than later, and that we want to vet it, because there's some, I'd say there's some potential landmines in the position.
Now, a person from City Human Resources was at the meeting tonight, and he guessed this position would take about 6 months to 1 year to fill. In that time, council also needs to pass an ordinance that will create a new department and authorize the position.
Authorities are releasing the identity of a homeless man who was found dead in downtown Janesville earlier this week. According to the Rock County Medical Examiner, he is 58-year-old Michael Terry. Terry's family says he was a former Marine who was found dead of a heart attack on Veterans Day. Janesville police say they've offered Terry help in the past, but his family says he has struggled with mental health issues.
Governor Tony Evers is defending comments he made today when he called state Republican senators, quote, bastards. He says he was using the word in a well-known phrase and was not meant as an insult.
You look back to World War II, World War I, don't let the bastard keep you down is a term of art. It's not a term of necessarily insult. And I can remember Barry Goldwater used it in '64 when he ran for president, and I know John Boehner had it on his desk. So it's not something I just pulled out of thin air.
Last Thursday, the GOP-controlled Senate voted to fire Brad Pfaff, the governor's agriculture secretary. Republican Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald says Evers is being, quote, shockingly disrespectful. Vice President Mike Pence is once again planning to visit Wisconsin next week. His office says he will tour and deliver remarks at Marinette Marine on November 20th. The vice president was first scheduled to visit the company on October 23rd, but it was canceled at the last minute.
Former President Jimmy Carter is up and walking after his brain surgery earlier this week. That's according to his family pastor. The 95-year-old went to the hospital Monday night for surgery to relieve pressure on his brain. That pressure was caused by bleeding after some recent falls. Public testimony will continue Friday as the House moves ahead with its impeachment inquiry against the president. Today, 2 career diplomats answered questions for several hours. Bill Taylor, the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, testified a member of his staff overheard a phone call between President Trump and the U.S. ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland, asking about the investigations.
Following the call with President Trump, the member of my staff asked Ambassador Sondland what President Trump thought about Ukraine. Ambassador Sondland responded that President Trump cares more about the investigations of Biden.
You didn't listen on President Trump's call and President Zelensky's call?
I did not.
You've never talked with Chief of Staff Mulvaney?
I never did.
You never met the president?
That's correct.
This is what I can't believe, and you're their star witness.
President Trump told reporters he didn't watch any of the testimony despite tweeting about it all day. On Friday, Marie Yovanovitch, the former ambassador to Ukraine, will testify.
Students in the Milwaukee suburb of Shorewood will be back in class tomorrow with police presence. Classes in the entire district were canceled today after investigators found a high school student with a hit list in his pocket and a loaded magazine in his backpack. Superintendent Brian Davis says investigators found the firearm matching the magazine off campus. They confirmed it was never on or near school grounds. A special procession tonight for a fire lieutenant who was killed while battling a house fire this morning in Boston. They say Lieutenant Jason Menard had rescued 2 of his fellow firefighters after becoming trapped on the 3rd floor of the building, but he never made it out. 3 other firefighters and a woman who lived in the building were also hurt, and more than 10 people lost their homes.
A Waukesha bus driver came to the rescue of a little boy and girl found wandering in the snow yesterday morning. When driver Nicole Chamberlain spotted the children, one wearing only a t-shirt and a diaper, she didn't hesitate. Bus video shows her get off the bus, call the kids over. It was just 18 degrees at the time. Nicole cranked the heat on the bus, took off her coat, covered the 2-year-old girl's bare legs. Within minutes, the children's grandmother arrived and explained to police that while she was in the basement, the 6-year-old boy went outside and the sister followed. Police say they are not recommending charges in the case. A company in Stevens Point is under OSHA investigation tonight for carbon monoxide exposure. A Donaldson spokesperson says about 24 employees got sick at work in the past week. For context, 435 people work at the Stevens Point location. Company working with OSHA as they work to fix the equipment issues identified by outside contractors.
Emergency crews rescued a worker trapped on top of McDonald's sign 135 feet above the ground this afternoon. This is in Middletown, Ohio. The company says the worker was not on the McDonald's sign itself, but on the platform of a man lift that was stuck. Fire crews had to use their ladder trucks to get him down. The worker is all right. 150 years of history was destroyed when a fire burned down the St. Raphael's Cathedral in Madison 14 years ago.
Today, history will be made again. Jamie Perez tells us about the future plans for the spire, the one thing that was saved from those flames back in March of 2005. Jamie?
That spire has been sitting in storage for the past 7 years, but the people who own the storage unit sold the property, meaning something needed to be done with that spire. Today, I went and spoke with a man about how he plans to both dismantle history and save it.
The flames were just pouring out. So sad. I think of all the memories that took place in this beautiful edifice.
14 years ago, people watched in disbelief as flames engulfed the St. Raphael Cathedral.
Now the fire department's doing everything they can to try to save the steeple. They're very concerned it's going to come down.
The only thing saved was the spire that sat at the top of the smoke-filled building. For the past 7 years, it sat waiting for its future, to see if it even had one.
This is a story that everybody knows.
Jeremiah Logeman is making sure it does.
I don't want this to go to waste, because if it wasn't for us doing this, this would wind up in a landfill.
The church contacted Logeman to dismantle it.
Oh, nice.
To save it.
Real nice.
To turn it into something.
I had a potential buyer a year ago, and that fell through, but they got excited about that opportunity. And so when that fell through, They reached out a couple more times, and I didn't have any answers for them. And it wasn't until I thought, gee whiz, what if I took it on myself? Hopefully, we can find some public space for some public art.
While its future still isn't certain, Logeman wants it to at least stay in Madison.
Everybody's familiar with Raphael's Cathedral and what happened. Someone set fire to the cathedral and it burnt down and they saved this part of it. It's a story that's touches a lot of people, so hopefully it can stay right here.
Logeman will spend the next couple of weeks taking it apart piece by piece in hopes to save what history is left.
Some great things can happen here, and if I don't take the time now, then that opportunity is wasted.
If you have space that you can lend to help store some of those pieces while they figure out a plan, or if you have any ideas on what you would like to see this spire turned into, Logeman said, please contact him. And I'll have his contact information on our website at channel3000.com.
And this is a story we're going to follow up on to see what he can do with that and where this ends up. It is a beautiful part of a rich part of Madison history. We all remember.
We need to keep that here.
And it's huge. When you see him standing next to it, it's like, oh my goodness.
Wonderful perspective.
We'll follow up and see what happens. Jamie, thank you.
Sure.
Still ahead tonight, the snow comes to an end tonight, and then a gradual warm-up will begin. Your forecasts in just a few minutes.
But first, a sneak peek inside Ulbrich Gardens' new $12 million expansion project. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Ulbrich Botanical Gardens is getting ready to show off its new learning center and greenhouses. And tonight, we're getting a sneak peek inside. The $12 million expansion project will allow the gardens to have a dedicated education space for the first time. The space has lots of sustainable features, including a cistern and solar panels. The public is invited to tour the space as construction continues on Fridays and Saturdays starting this week through December 20th. Facebook says it has shut down billions of fake accounts. So far, 5.4 billion have been removed this year alone, but the social media giant said today that millions likely remain. The revelation highlights some of the challenges social media companies face ahead of the high-stakes 2020 election. The company says as many as 5% of its monthly users are fake.
The largest Starbucks in the world is opening this week in Chicago. The building, 43,000 square feet, 4 stories tall. The Chicago Roastery will officially open in the former Crate and Barrel location along the Magnificent Mile on Friday morning. Each floor offers customers a different take on caffeine, from watching the roasting process on the first floor all the way up to the specialty Chicago-inspired coffee cocktails for Charlotte on the 4th floor. If you're a fan of Quick Trip's Glazers and Karuba coffee, there's something new for you to try. Madison Brewery Carbon 4 is teaming up with a convenience store chain to release Glazer Bean. It is a chocolate coffee stout beer brewed with a hint of Glazer donut flavor. The beer is out now, exclusively available at Quick Trip's Wisconsin stores. City of Madison says a weekend leaf collection and street sweeping operation, well, it was quite the haul. Saturday and Sunday, working 11-hour shifts each day, crews collected more than 1,500 tons of leaves. That's right, 3 million pounds of them, and there's still more out there to be collected. The Streets Division intends to continue picking up leaves for as long as the weather allows.
Local ski hills are taking advantage of the recent cold and snow. According to both websites, Cascade Mountain in Portage and Tyrrell Basin in Mount Horeb will both be open this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Alternate side parking starts Friday in Madison. If you're going to be parked on the street between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m., your vehicle needs to be on the odd side of the street on those odd numbered days, and even side of the street if the date is even. Alternate side parking rules are in effect through mid-March. Fines can range from $20 to $60.
Gary Canalti joining us now. Hopefully we can melt off of this next week. We're talking maybe 40 degrees.
Yeah,
that'll feel nice.
You know, every little bit will help. And the sun angle is still fairly high in the sky compared to the way it is in December and early January, so that also helps. But these cold temperatures certainly aren't. But at least on Doppler track, the bulk of the snow now moving through southeastern Wisconsin and out into Lake Michigan. There still may be a few flurries left, but to the west, things have quieted down, so we're not looking at any more snow. In fact, skies may actually start to clear by early tomorrow morning. 3 things to know in the forecast. Temperatures are cold enough for snow tonight, but those flurries will gradually end. Then it won't be quite as cold for tomorrow, with partly sunny skies for both tomorrow and Friday. Highs will be in the low 30s tomorrow and probably mid-30s on Friday. Still cold through this weekend. Temperatures remaining in the mid-30s. Maybe a little bit of light snow or a mix of rain and snow Sunday afternoon, but that's still iffy at this point and probably shouldn't add to the snow totals that we have on the ground. Look at the high temperature trend over the next 10 days. Look at this. We're back up to normal by maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. That'll be the first time since October 27th when we were at 59 degrees. Temperatures have actually been normal. Of course, all that time, the average high temperature keeps dropping, but our temperatures have been way below that. Now we're just kind of catching up to where they should be. The live view from the time-lapse from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam this morning showed plenty of clouds. The snow was late in getting started, even in southwestern Wisconsin. It wasn't until late afternoon you started to see these snow showers, and then as we headed toward darkness, that's when a little better chances of snow came in. Live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. There might be a few flurries out there, but that's pretty much it, really not showing up on the Skycam. As we check out the almanac for today, temperatures still well below normal. High temperature 24 degrees, that's 22 degrees below the average high of 46, the low of 11, at least not a record like we had the last 2 nights. And right now we're at 24 degrees. Still some flurries being reported at the airport, but the air is calm, so no wind chill to speak of this hour. Look at how widespread the cold is. Basically, the eastern half of the country seeing well below normal temperatures. The cold air is driven all the way south to the Gulf Coast. Brownsville, Texas at 48 degrees, only 1 degree warmer than Billings, Montana at 47 for the high temperature today. But that northwesterly wind flow continues. It is starting to shift eastward a little bit as the jet stream starts to bulge back to the north, allowing slightly milder conditions in the western part of the country to gradually start moving their way eastward. So we look at the surface weather map. Weak cold front out to the west, more of a wind shift than anything else, but that has the light snow out ahead of it. Behind it, the skies actually clear out and the air dries out. So it'll actually be a little warmer tomorrow, but a little colder for tomorrow night. Future track shows the clouds gradually clearing out by early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow we should see partly sunny skies. We'll see about the same thing for Friday. No precipitation showing up there, which is good news. And on Saturday and Sunday, some of these clouds will start moving back in. That'll keep temperatures in the mid-30s, but we'll wait until Saturday night or Sunday before the next chance of flurries or some light rain or snow. 19 for the overnight low temperature as flurries come to an end. Skies actually may start to turn partly cloudy toward tomorrow morning, and that'll set up a partly sunny day with not quite as cold conditions. Our high temperature back up at 31, but again, the average high temperature should still be in the mid-40s. On future track, as those skies clear out by morning, temperatures drop into the upper teens. Partly sunny skies tomorrow, high temperatures will be in the lower 30s. For tomorrow night, we'll see partly cloudy skies with lows in the upper teens, and then look for high temperatures in the mid to upper 30s on Friday. And as we take a look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, again, cloudy skies on the weekend, a chance for a little bit of light snow, maybe mixed with rain Sunday afternoon with a high of 36, and then those temperatures squeaking up a couple of degrees each day, getting up to about 43 by Wednesday with a slight chance of a rain shower. A little colder toward the end of next week, but there aren't any real signs of a lot of cold air building. You have 3 straight weeks of cold air. Alaska has been very mild. They're starting to turn cold, so that air has to get cold again and build up before it can start heading south. We just kind of used up all of it at once.
Well,
It's fine. Use it up. I don't need any more.
Yeah, keep squeaking up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, straight ahead, the Badgers trying to rope the Cowboys at McNeese State at the Kohl Center tonight. Stick around. Sports coming away next.
The Badger men's basketball team continues its 4-game homestand tonight at the Kohl Center as McNeese State's Cowboys come to town from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Kobe King didn't play with a left leg injury. No timetable. Doesn't sound like it'll be long, though. So with King out, who steps up? If you had Walt McGrory in the pool, you're a winner. He hadn't played all season, but scores 9 points in the first half. After a slow start, the Badgers start putting it together. End of the first half, Brad Davison beats the buzzer. He had 24. Badgers up 37-34 at half, and Greg Gard told his guys to play better defense, and boy, did they. Defense leads the offense. Aleem Ford, a career-high 16. Wisconsin 83. McNeese State 63.
It started on the defensive end for us, just trying to get more stops and then play inside out, get good looks. And then, I felt like we had some good looks in the first half and they just didn't fall, but in the second half they were falling. So we just tried to stick to it and stay confident in our shot.
Yeah, I think at halftime, Coach got into us pretty good. It's made us. Once we came out, we stopped trading baskets. Really started on the defensive end, and Coach told us that's where we have to pride ourselves.
In lacrosse, the Badgers now 2-1. Next up, the yearly showdown with Marquette. That'll be at the Kohl Center Sunday at noon. In Milwaukee tonight, final seconds, Marquette 62, Purdue 55. In lacrosse today, the future of Badger basketball gets a little brighter. The official signing of twin brothers Jordan and Johnny Davis to national letters of intent to play basketball at the University of Wisconsin. They committed to Wisconsin back in June. Today, they made it official. They're going to play basketball for the Badgers. The Milwaukee Bucks get one more night off before they host the Chicago Bulls at Fiserv Forum tomorrow night. Of course, the Bucks will be without all-star guard Chris Middleton for about a month with a bruised thigh. Bucks are on a stretch of playing 7 of 8 games on the road. Right now, they're the second highest scoring team in the league. And former Madison Memorial star Wesley Matthews said the biggest adjustment to losing an all-star starter like Middleton will be on the defensive end.
Offensively, we got a lot of guys that can score the ball. That's not going to be the issue. We just got to continue to play together, play hard, play the right way, stack stops, and get out in transition and run, share the ball.
I think guys have, been working hard all season and they're ready to go. And obviously, as I said, Chris, it's a big loss, but we got to play great basketball for the next 3 to 4 weeks until he gets back.
Remember that 4-game suspension Ohio State defensive end Chase Young was going to get? Well, it's suddenly down to 2. Young will sit out games against 2 lousy teams, Maryland and Rutgers, but will return for big games coming up against Penn State and Michigan. Young admitted he accepted a loan from a family friend but repaid it, still considered an extra benefit in the eyes of the NCAA. And New York Mets pitcher Jacob deGrom wins his 2nd straight National League Cy Young Award today. He's the 7th NL pitcher to win 2 straight Cy Youngs. The American League Cy Young Award goes to Houston's Justin Verlander. The MVP awards are tomorrow. Brewers' Christian Yelich, one of 3 finalists in the National League. And we'll be right back.
Well, last of the snow moving through southeastern Wisconsin. The flurries are winding down. Temperatures are still in the low to mid-20s, and the roads are a little slick that haven't been treated with salt. Otherwise, look for temperatures back in the 30s beginning tomorrow, and then probably some 40s by early next week with a little cool down at the end of the week.
All right, Gary, thank you. And thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.